Hello, my name is Jacey Schatz,
And my name is Lucy Ray.
and we are the Roommate Podcast.
Let's talk all things college.
So today we're going to talk about how to find balance in college, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, let's just introduce ourselves. My name's Jacey. I'm from Philadelphia, Mississippi. I'm majoring in journalism, and my favorite hobby is reading, but a tragic thing about college is that I don't have much time to read anymore.
Hey everybody, my name is Lucy. From Philadelphia, Mississippi. My major is criminal justice, and my favorite hobby is self-care.
And self-care is something that you really need to find balance with in college. So, why do we want to start this podcast in the first place? We've talked about starting a podcast for, since we were 15?
Yeah, definitely.
Which, might not seem like such a long time since we're only 18, but it feels like a long time to us. College is such a dramatic transition, and we want everyone listening to feel less alone in this period of their lives, because it really can feel lonely, especially when you don't know a lot of people and this is a new environment for you. It's hard to integrate yourself into a new environment. So, we're going to start off by talking about social media. How in the world do you find balance with social media? I know that I have fallen victim to watching Instagram Reels, way too many.
Definitely.
And it's hard to get off. I mean, Instagram is, I'm just using Instagram because that's sort of what I kind of get stuck on. They curate these videos specifically for you, and so you're like, okay, one more video, and the next thing you know, it's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
And you haven't gotten any work done.
Yeah.
So we want to preface all of this by saying we are still figuring this out. We're not pros.
Right.
We probably need to talk some of this stuff out ourselves because we don't really know what we're doing. So, as I've mentioned previously, procrastinating your schoolwork by going on social media, whether that be Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, it's extremely easy. So finding some balance can be really difficult. One thing that I've recently, and when I say recently, I mean probably 3 days ago, have started doing is setting timers for myself. Now you can go in your settings app and set a timer for Instagram manually, or you can, I know Lucy does this, she sets timers on her clock app.
Yeah.
Do you find that helps?
I do find that helps. I personally did not download any social media until the start of college, and so I did kind of miss out on that experience in high school. But it's sort of a good thing and a bad thing, because it's been easy for me to kind of have a late start and really, not have anything from the past affect me on social media as far as posts or, past friendships, anything like that. But it is a little bit harder for me because I'm still adjusting to having access to that. And so sometimes I do find myself, scrolling on Instagram Reels, and I'm like, okay, I really need to do my work right now, but I don't want to because it's so fun. But I feel like this week I've definitely done way better with that, but it was something that I did kind of have to realize.
Yeah, for sure. And following accounts that are going on all these vacations and doing everything other than schoolwork can be dissatisfying to watch because you're not living their life.
Right.
So something that has also helped me is following accounts that are doing schoolwork, who are inspiring you to do your schoolwork, and unfollowing those accounts that might be aesthetically pleasing to watch, but are not inspiring you whatsoever to do your schoolwork.
Yeah, just not keeping things in your life that don't serve you.
Exactly.
You know? You have to think of what your morals and what your goals are and say, okay, does this necessarily align with my morals or goals? Yes or no? And then you can kind of take it from there and judge, who you should or shouldn't follow. And that is definitely really helpful when it comes to social media.
For sure. Social media is such a hard topic to navigate because we use it for schoolwork and yet we also use it for entertainment. So how are we to know a balance? It's really hard to find a balance, but honestly I would say beginning to use those timer methods and following accounts who inspire you, that really does help a lot. So just give that a try and maybe your screen time will go down a few hours, hopefully.
Right.
Next, we're going to talk about relationships. So this can go with any type of relationship: family relationships, friend relationships, romantic relationships. They're all really hard to navigate because when you were in high school, you were living one life and you had time to do this with your friends or attend this event with your family, and now, most of us aren't living near our family anymore or our friends, so that's really hard to navigate.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I agree, and sometimes it can get a bit discouraging because you feel like you fall, out of some of those relationships and you feel yourself growing distant with parents or siblings or friends or whoever it may be. And sometimes, like I said, it does get super discouraging. So you just have to find that balance of, okay, it might not be okay to call people or text people all the time when you have schoolwork to be doing, but it definitely is important to keep those relationships and, have a daily phone call or whatever the case may be for you. Just make sure you're making time for the people who matter to you.
Yeah. Another thing that's hard to find balance is with knowing when to have time with your family and friends and when to have time for yourself and your schoolwork.
Right.
You have to remember that college is your job right now. You might have another job, but getting good grades or, maybe just passing, I don't know. Doing school is your job, and you have to put so much time and effort towards your schooling, and sometimes you have to say no to a family outing. You have to say no to dinner with friends, and it's hard because you want to do as much as you can, but you just have to remember that school is your job.
Right.
You can't put more time towards friends or family or relationships if that is making you sacrifice grades.
Right. And, obviously some people learn this the hard way, and unfortunately I was one of those people because, in high school I didn't really have to put much effort into my schoolwork. And here it's a completely different story, new study methods, assignments and such, and it can just get extremely overwhelming really fast, and you kind of have to learn how to block out your time each day, because for me it was a problem where I would just do everything the night before and it would just kind of result in me halfway doing everything, which is not okay in college, especially when you're trying to maintain a certain GPA for, to keep up your scholarships and things like that. It can get really discouraging and you can fall behind really fast if you don't know how to prioritize.
For sure. I would say have a conversation with your family, with your friends, with your significant other, and tell them that things are going to change. Coming to college, changing your environment, changing everything that you're used to, you have to be somewhat okay with acclimating and changing. And so have that conversation. It's going to be hard, but I found that having those conversations with my family and my friends has seemed to help a lot in not even them adjusting, but me as well.
Right.
Next, we're going to talk about organizations. Finding your club, your event that you want to attend. It's difficult because Ole Miss does offer so many wonderful clubs and organizations, and I know when I first moved here, not even going to school yet, but the week that we had to get adjusted and move in all the way, get all of our groceries situated, I felt really overwhelmed because I wanted to do as much as possible.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to every event. I wanted to meet as many people as I could. But that's just not realistic. And I have learned that the hard way, that you can't just do everything. You can't wring yourself out dry and leave nothing else for yourself.
Right.
So what has worked for me, and Lucy, I know this has worked for you as well, find a few organizations that really speak to you, that serve as an outlet for you, that don't stress you out. I have a few organizations that I attend that are really a wonderful outlet for me. You know, they don't stress me out. I know that if I have too much schoolwork going on, I can miss, and that'll be okay.
Yeah.
But it's really just sort of an escape method to go to these organizations, and finding that spot, finding that sweet spot of, yeah, I have a little bit of schoolwork to do, but I really just need a mental break. Let me go do this. That is really helpful.
Yeah, I agree. And also, you know, you can say all day, oh, I'm just gonna do my schoolwork and go to sleep and only do the things that I have to do because I feel overwhelmed. Well, I find that that's hard, and it's important to establish yourself in an organization.
Yes.
Because it's so important to make connections with other people that might be feeling the same way as you about certain things, you know, school related, or even personal things, you know,
yeah.
and it makes you feel so much less alone as you try to navigate college.
Yeah, because you go to these organizations and there are other freshmen there, or there might even be juniors, seniors there who know how you feel. I've met freshmen that are going through the exact same thing I'm going through, and just to sort of have your experience validated, that is so helpful. And that honestly is one of the things that we're trying to do with this podcast, is because, gosh, I wish in the first week that we lived here, we had somebody validating our experiences. There were a few. One of the many experiences we had to go through was being locked out on our first night of living at the university. We won't say what hall we live in, but we do live in a specific hall whose front door would not open for a month. And we didn't know this, and we thought that it was normal, which it wasn't. It has since been fixed, thankfully. But yeah, we got locked out trying to take our trash out. We were trying to be domestic and handle our adult responsibilities. But if somebody would have told us, hey, yeah, so the front door doesn't work, you're out of luck, sorry.
Mind you, this whole time, I'm in my pajamas, okay?
Yeah.
I just did not even know what was going on. I'm sure people were looking at me like, what does she have going on?
Yeah, I'm sure we got a few looks. But yeah, it's really lonely sticking to yourself.
Yeah.
Understandably, there are times, I'm going through a time right now where I have a lot of exams coming up. So I need to sort of isolate myself in the sense of, I have stuff to do. I have schoolwork to tend to. That is my priority. So I can't really put as much focus towards my organizations as I would love to this week. But it's sort of like a give and take.
Right.
One step forward, 3 steps back sometimes. It's all about finding that balance.
Yeah.
And honestly, this could kind of tie in towards your family, friend relationships. Making intentional time for stuff is such a game changer.
Yeah, and that was a really good point.
Thank you.
About the whole, prioritizing your academics.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that is super important. And another thing is, yes, it's important to put yourself out there, meet new people, join clubs and organizations, but that also kind of leads to burnout in a way.
Certainly, yes.
And burnout is a serious thing that I feel like so many college students struggle with, and I was struggling with it last week, and we're only a few weeks into college, and I feel like you have to have self-discipline, not only motivation, because motivation only gets you so far.
Yeah.
You can't only do things when you're motivated. You have to also have that self-discipline, because then, even when you're not feeling motivated, you still need to get certain things done, and you get them done. And I've kind of realized that, and I've definitely adjusted my schedule to that, and just, practicing, I don't necessarily want to do this right now, but do I need to do it? Yes. And I feel like that is also what has sort of helped me not reach burnout and prioritize the right things.
Yeah, burnout is such a good topic to bring up, because it all happens to us.
Right.
We all have that. There's always this period of, if I push myself too hard right now, I'm going to burn out.
Yeah.
But in college, we have no choice but to push ourselves. Our assignments aren't going to wait on us. Our exams aren't going to be easy just because we decided that we need it to be.
Yeah.
We have to have that stern, strict relationship with ourselves, saying, just like Lucy said, hey, we have to do this right now. We might not want to, but that's what's going to work best for us.
Right.
So, yeah, this could also tie back into relationships. Just almost having that conversation with yourself and conceding that you're going to have to change some habits to keep balance in your college life.
Yeah.
That is a really important topic to discuss with yourself. So, something that Lucy and I, this might not apply to everyone, but Lucy and I are originally from about 2.5, 3 hours south of Oxford, so oftentimes we go home and we see our family and our friends and our animals.
Right.
And we want to talk about how going home to our old environment inspires or uninspires us in college. So, Lucy, how have you found that going home feels to you? Seeing that old environment, feeling the way you did just a few months ago in high school, how does that contribute to you and your college life?
Well, I know we come from a small town, where everybody knows each other, and it is sometimes hard for me to sort of be around that mindset of being stuck in certain old ways.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I come from a large family. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. I have my mom, my dad, my cats. Of course, we have to include the cats.
Of course.
And something that has changed for me being here is those responsibilities that I might have had at home, as far as getting one of my siblings to or from practice or attending certain events, I don't have to do here. And so it was a surprise for me in both a good way and a bad way, because while I did want more time, for myself and my goals, it was also kind of sad to me because I'm not always able to show up for them in those ways anymore. So, and sending a simple text message is definitely something that I like to do when I'm not able to attend their events or whatever the case may be. But anyway, as far as actually going home, it does feel a bit weird, and I do experience imposter syndrome in a way because it feels, not to sound dramatic, but it feels like, my life at home is paused, and then whenever I go back home, it kind of unpauses. And it feels a bit weird because that's how it is in my mind, but then everybody else is just going about their certain ways, and I'm thinking, well, let me catch up because I haven't been here for, this or that. And it is a really hard thing to see everybody sort of move on with their lives when you're not a part of it every single day anymore. But yeah, that's just been my experience with going home. I do enjoy going home and, seeing my siblings and my parents and my cats, but it definitely took some adjusting.
Yeah.
And, it sort of re-inspires me to do well in college.
I'm really glad that you use that, re-inspires.
Thank you.
I feel the same way, honestly, with the inspiration aspect. See, I'm an only child, so I'm my parents' only kid, and I have a gazillion cats, and I have 2 dogs. In all seriousness, I have 9 cats. That is maybe an episode topic for another day. We don't have time to go through all the cat drama that I have lived through. So, I talk to my parents all the time. It's really a big priority for me. Excuse me, why did I say it like that? Priority. It's a big priority for me to make that time for them and talk to them and ask them how they're doing, because I know that they don't really have, obviously they don't have another kid to turn their attention to, so they're adjusting as well. But yeah, when I love to go home, it's sort of like an oasis for me. My mom likes to get me fun snacks, and she kind of treats me as if I'm at a spa. My dad cooks these big elaborate meals, and I'm thinking, man, why did I go to college? Kidding, I love it here. But yeah, it does. I do get re-inspired when I go home, because it's really something to look at the environment that you came from and then return to the environment that you're currently in.
Yes.
Looking at from our town, looking at where we're from, it's like, oh, I came from here and I've outgrown this environment.
Yeah.
And this is where I am now in Oxford, living my best life. It might be stressful at times. But
yeah. I love how you use the phrase, you've outgrown that environment, because it's a respectful way of saying, you lived your time there, and now you've sort of moved on and you want to do big things with your life. And I just love the way that you put that.
Well, thank you.
Because I'm feeling the exact same way.
Yeah, a few months ago when I was in high school, I thought to myself, I don't know how I'll ever feel any soft spot for this town. Excuse me, apparently I can't speak. I outgrew it a long, long time ago. And so going back is really odd, because it's sort of how you look fondly back at an old memory.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like a little, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to phrase it. It's weird. You only know it if you feel it.
I understand what you're saying, though. Yeah.
So finding that balance of going home and how that affects college life, that's a weird balance.
Right.
And it's not going to be the same for everybody, because I go home practically every weekend to visit my family, and Lucy goes home often too, and I know some people, to go home, they'd have to fly, or they'd have to drive a gazillion hours, and that's just not, that doesn't really fit in with the whole, well, we have stuff to do, we have to tend to this. So it's going to be different for everyone. But going back again to the whole relationship topic we mentioned earlier, have that conversation with your family. You know, check in on them too, because you're not the only one whose life has changed.
Right.
So, how to find outlets? How to balance?
I like that.
How are you gonna balance outlets with college? Because we were mentioning earlier about the organizations, right? That's hard to balance. And then, I mean, I've never really heard of anybody whose outlet is social media.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it could be a thing. If your outlet is social media, how do you balance the social media addiction with that being a healthy outlet? What I really want to focus on talking about now is the health of an outlet. Do you have time to contribute to that outlet? Is it aiding you in relaxing in this stressful time, you know?
Yeah. I definitely want to emphasize healthy outlet, you know, because there are also outlets that would not be considered healthy outlets, and that's not a rabbit hole you want to go down.
No.
You know, but yeah.
I would say one thing that I've been telling myself over and over and over again is, Jacey, your body is allowed to rest.
Yeah.
You are allowed to curate a night routine that helps you sleep better at night, that helps you feel better, that helps you relax. I don't think that we need to be pushing ourselves to the absolute limit to where we just don't really feel like a human anymore.
Yeah.
There was a week, I think, maybe one of the first weeks that we had school, I started to do that to myself. And I remember I actually went home and my parents were like, are you okay? You have purple bags under your eyes. So from that week, I've learned to check in with myself, which is also balancing your relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are okay. You know?
Right.
I mean, you need to find outlets that help. Something that Lucy mentioned when we first introduced ourselves was self-care.
Yeah.
How do you think that utilizing self-care has become such an outlet for you? Because at first it seemed to just be a hobby that you did in high school. You'd buy a nice little product here and there, but now it almost seems like an outlet that you actually attribute time towards. How do you think that's helped with your college life?
Well, I definitely think that I have to make a boundary with that so that I'm not, you know, spending all this money on products and, you know, face masks and just all these different things, and, you know, spending hours at a time doing, quote, self-care, and, you know, I'm just lollygagging around, but it helps to know that I'm making an effort to take care of my physical body and also my mental well-being.
Yeah, for
because self-care applies to, you know, your physical state, your mental state, and also your emotional state. When you take that time to take care of yourself, then you have more respect for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really like how you brought up, you know, your night routine earlier, because I was kind of struggling with the same thing about going and going and going and going until I had reached my limit.
Yeah.
Which can be a good thing, but if you know me, I am an overachiever and a perfectionist.
Absolutely.
So when things don't go exactly the way I planned them, then I tend to just freak out and think the worst. You know, I made not terrible, but I did make a bad grade on one of my tests last week. And for like 2 days after that, I was just thinking worst case scenario, you know, like, oh, am I going to be here next semester? Just things like that.
Yeah, Lucy came to me. Listen, I don't even know what I was doing, probably homework. And she comes in and she's like, what if I have to transfer to community college next semester? And I'm thinking, whoa, go easy on yourself. Give yourself some grace. it's just one bad grade. And I hate to say that because obviously classes do matter. We're
Right,
in college.
right.
But also, you have to find that balance.
Yeah.
Again, balance of, yeah, it's terrible that I made this grade. I really wish I would have studied more. But you know
Right.
what? Now you know next time to study more.
Right.
You can put in the time and effort to do better when you allow yourself grace.
Yeah. And there was never any need for me to freak out about that because I know I'm not the type of person to just let myself give up or let myself fail, And, coming back to what we were talking about earlier, I was pushing myself so hard after that to the point where I was up, until 1 a.m. just doing schoolwork and thinking worst case scenario. And, for a little while, I thought I was doing myself a favor and I was staying on top of things, but I would wake up exhausted and even more stressed out than the day before, and it just turned into this huge emotional spiral. And I had to set a boundary with myself and say it's okay to work really hard, but you also can't punish yourself,
Absolutely.
And now my routine looks more like me setting that boundary and saying, okay, it's 9:30 p.m. Let me go take my shower and do my skincare and go to sleep because I know I need a lot of sleep every night in order to function properly the next day. And just setting those boundaries with yourself and, telling yourself, hey, I do need to do well academically and really focus on my schoolwork.
Yeah.
But it's also okay to say, I need to put this down for now and find a healthy outlet and do what's best for my physical state so that mentally I can perform the best way possible.
Yeah, that's also another thing that we can talk about is that mental and physical balance.
Yeah.
Because I am a firm believer in your mental health is just as, if not more important than your physical health.
Right.
If you're not taking care of yourself mentally, you're not going to perform well in college. I'm so sorry to break the news. But yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of that. So the other night, Lucy and our friend Lola, shout out Lola, if you're listening, she's been a firm supporter of the podcast since day one. Where did you guys even go? You went somewhere.
When was this?
This was the day before yesterday.
Sunday?
Maybe.
We went to Ansley Claire's Bible study.
Yeah, also shout out Ansley Claire if you're listening. So they went. I wanted to go, but I had this conversation with myself. I said, Jacey, you don't have the time to go.
Yeah.
You need to focus on your schoolwork right now. And that I did. I got done mostly everything that I had to do. And you know what? It took a lot of stress off of me. And I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I had that conversation with myself. And, I kind of missed out on a fun evening, but I also needed to prioritize my work, just like we mentioned earlier. Prioritize your schoolwork over everything else because this is your job.
Right.
And, there will be another chance for me to go out and hang out with my friends, but you just have to take it. And Lucy says this all the time, and I've started saying it to myself. Let's just take it day by day.
Yeah.
You honestly just have to put one foot in front of the other to find your balance.
Right.
You can't go into this topic really expecting to find balance in October, in November, in December. You have to understand that finding your balance is going to come one day at a time.
Yes. I love how you threw in that little story about setting a boundary with yourself and saying, Jacey, I know this sounds fun right now, but you really need to do your schoolwork.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And as far as the, just taking things one day at a time, I've realized that mindset helps me so much because I have
Yes.
had pretty bad anxiety since I was really young, and where this stems from, I don't know. Maybe it's an oldest child thing. That would make a whole lot of sense, but I would find myself just spiraling about what if this, what if that, and it was things that were supposed to happen, weeks in advance or, months from that
Yeah.
time. And I'm thinking, why? My mom told me once, she said, why would you put yourself through something twice? Why would I worry about it before it even happens and then worry about it when it's there? Why not just worry about it when it's there? Which is a good mindset for certain things. Obviously, not schoolwork because you don't want to worry about a test the night before.
Yeah.
But just having like a healthy amount of worry, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like as I've gotten older, my anxiety has gotten way better. And I think it's because I sort of have this mature mindset, and I have, a mindset of growth now, and that it's
Ooh.
okay to not know everything, and it's okay to not be in control of the situations you're put in because, I am a religious person, and I just feel like, trusting in God more and His timing is way more important than my timing on things.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, you can't, like Lucy was saying, you can't worry about things before they've happened. I really like the whole, what is it she said? Don't put yourself through a situation twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that healthy amount, I wouldn't say anxiety, but worrying about a test coming up,
Yeah.
or what I need to do for this class and this class, or how much time should I put towards family, friends, organizations.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a little bit stressed about that. Well, it's okay to be a lot of bit stressed about that because
Yeah.
this is our first time
Right.
living. I always like to think, this is your first time living. It's okay. You make mistakes. It's
Yeah.
all right.
And, kind of bouncing off of what you
Yeah.
said about, it's your first time living, you have to realize that about the people in your life also. Because I know
So true.
maybe for some people when you move off certain relationships with like a significant other or friends, siblings, parents, whoever it may be, you have to realize it's also their first time living. And I know with my parents and also your parents, it was their first time, sending their
Yeah.
kid off to college, and sometimes I would find myself getting frustrated and starting arguments about things that just weren't even that big of a deal. And I kind of had to realize, you know what? We're all figuring this out together. So let's just all give each other some grace here.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, we are only living in our physical body.
Right.
So this can even apply to, friends or even random people that you encounter throughout the day. Maybe a professor.
Yeah.
You can't really place those expectations on people to act a certain way, which is
Right.
something that we were actually discussing before we came here.
Yeah.
But you have to be confident enough in the balance that you have within yourself
Yeah.
and not expect balance to come from other people.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Sorry to interrupt, but
no,
I
it's
do
okay.
feel like that's another really important factor that plays into, balance and boundaries and just all the things is confidence.
Yeah,
You
honestly.
have to go through every day having the confidence in yourself and saying, you know what, this might be hard, but I know I can do it. And I really struggle with that because, in the past, I've sort of had a mindset of when something gets hard, I just immediately give up because
Yeah.
I'm not perfect at it, which is a terrible mindset, but I'm trying. I'm still in the process of trying to convert that mindset into a growth mindset and saying, you know what, it's okay to not perform my best or not my best. I do want to do my best, but not perfect at certain things, because that's not possible. You know, there's always room for growth, and if I'm constantly trying to reach perfection, it's never going to happen. That's just not realistic.
A perfect balance will never exist. We're not having this conversation right now to try and convince you that balance is always going to be perfect. It has to be perfect to work.
Yeah.
If I don't have balance, I'm doomed. That's not the case. You have to have balance within yourself to be good in all of your endeavors.
Right.
And you can't think of balance as like this straight line.
Yeah.
You have to think of balance almost as this spinning windmill.
I like that. It's like you have to adjust it to all of the different aspects in your life. You know, balance for schoolwork might be one routine.
Yeah, exactly.
And then balance for family life may be a whole different story, depending on your background, you know?
Yeah, and I think that we've kind of made that point with everything that we've discussed. I mean, finding those outlets and having those family-friend relationships and, you know, social media, organizations.
Right.
All of that looks differently.
Yeah.
And to every person it looks differently.
Right.
The way that I balance my organizations and my family life is not the same way that Lucy balances her organizations and her family life.
Right.
So I think just it is almost like a trial and error. Always. It's never going to be perfect. Like we said, it's always trial and error. You're always adjusting. I like that you said that. You're always sort of adjusting to different aspects in your life.
And you have to leave that space for things that might not go as planned, or things that might turn out, you know, unexpected, because that's also a problem for me, and something I'm trying to work on, where, you know, not everything is just gonna go the way that it's, quote, supposed to go.
Well, we can explain this too. Lucy and I both have clinically diagnosed OCD, so some of our behaviors and some of the things that we, like routines and stuff we probably talk about, you're kind of thinking, oh, what's wrong with them? We're okay. We just have OCD.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I just felt like that was really important to add on.
Yeah. I'm really glad you kind of cleared that up, because, but what was I saying?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Whoops.
But basically, balance is key in college. Balance is important. And if you don't have that balance, you know, it looks different for everybody, but if you don't have that balance, then you're not going to perform the way that you want to.
Yeah.
Academically.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's also, I want to re-stress the importance of having an outlet.
Yeah.
Either it's one or it's many. Sometimes finding balance, which it's so tricky, because you have to have balance with everything in your life, including outlets.
Right.
But you also have to make time for your outlets, and your outlets they have to be something where you can escape from trying to find that balance every once in a while. So, yeah, I mean, and you have to accept that not every outlet's going to work.
Right.
Like I mentioned earlier, my outlet used to be reading. I am a bookworm at heart. Like I said earlier, I'm a journalism major, so all things English, that's up my alley. But, as I also said earlier, I don't have time to read anymore. I can't tell you the last time that I actually sat down and read, which is heartbreaking. It hurts so bad.
Yeah.
But you have to find outlets, honestly, that fit this new college version of you.
Actually, I'm really glad that you brought that up again about the outlets. I feel like since I've been here, I've kind of fallen out of my outlet, you know, my signature outlet, which is dancing. And while, you know, I'm not a professional, I'm not on the college team or anything, but it was such an outlet for me back at home, because when I was stressed out or overstimulated, or just felt like I needed to, you know, raise my heart rate a little bit, I would go in my room and I would just dance it out. And I would like for you to kind of hold me more accountable to that and just be like, hey, have you danced in a while? Because I'm not doing the best job at holding myself accountable. Yeah.
So basically, I should just demand a twirl out of you every 5 seconds.
I mean,
that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Yeah, dance used to be an outlet for me as well. I think something that's different from Lucy's relationship with dance is that I've kind of outgrown it. Not in a bad way. It's just I think that there are other outlets I'd like to try before maybe returning to dance.
Yeah.
Or maybe dance adjacent things like yoga, Pilates, all of that. So I understand where you're coming from, because that's how I feel with the reading. I've fallen off that. I don't have time. You don't have time to dance. It's hard to find time for your outlets, but
but if
we keep saying? Balance.
Right. If you care enough about those outlets, you will find a way to work them into your routine.
That's so true. And it makes you feel better too.
Right.
We went to, what was it, a Pilates class?
Yeah.
Weeks and weeks ago when school first started. And it actually made us feel a lot better. We got those endorphins out. We did something that was good for our physical body. And it just made us feel better. And I think if you kind of put things into perspective, your best days are going to be the days when you do something for yourself, for the betterment of yourself.
Right. I love that. And also, it was really good for us to try something new. I think
that's a good outlet, trying new things.
It really helps my anxiety over time when I try a lot of new things, because I like to stay in my comfort zone, have the same routine, and when I get thrown off, I tend to freak out. But the more and more that I introduce new things into my life that are going to be uncertain, the less scary things are.
Yeah. I think to sort of almost wrap us up here.
Yeah.
We just kind of want to be maybe an outlet for you.
Yeah.
We want you to be able to listen to us and kind of get away for a little while. Maybe we can teach you something new. Maybe you think we're idiots. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's what we want to accomplish with this. I actually wrote on this little notes paper. I don't know if you can hear the papers flapping as I turn them. But I wrote on here that we want to be your virtual best friends.
Yeah.
College can be extremely lonely. We've just talked about this with the outlet situation, how it can be scary and uncertain at times.
Yeah.
We want this to be a space where you feel safe coming and listening.
Yeah. We want to be your college sisters.
Yeah.
We're all learning new things every day and learning how to adapt, and that's just part of college. Whether you're a freshman or a senior, it can be hard at times. So we kind of want to, be those people who lift you up, who maybe inspire you. Maybe this is your outlet, listening to our podcast and, finding relatable topics where you can be like, oh my gosh, me too. But also go follow Rebel Radio on Instagram.
And go follow our podcast, which is at theroommate.pod. And yes, roommate actually does have 2 O's and 2 M's. Did you know that? Yeah, we hope that maybe this episode offered you some insight.
Yeah.
Sorry if we rambled. We tend to do that. We want to thank you for listening. This is our premiere debut episode.
So exciting.
Which was so fun. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you tune in next week.
We'll see you next Wednesday at 3 o'clock with the Roommate Podcast.
That's right. Bye, everyone.